here and here. Let me actually put the volume up.
You can see, right?
Yeah, it is much better. Now I'll change it right here. Guys, so now you guys already know this headset right here. You're not streaming right now, right?
No, no, no.
Let me see if I can. For some reason, I'll do it in 1 second. Your name is hard to do it on. Oh, they're right here, so I have to actually copy paste it because you have the. There you go. It's not letting me. Oh, there you go. There it is. Make sure to follow him, guys, if you guys want to see some crazy potential on a lot of classes. And he's gonna be doing a guide for us for Breaker, and the floor is yours, Poppy.
Okay. I guess we can start with the Ark Passive settings.
Yeah.
So on Breaker, Ark Passive is pretty straightforward. You already have that many options. So at 5 pieces, you always play Standing Striker 2, the last node, and you always take the crit rate, the Zealous Smite at level 2. You do not ever change it, no matter what synergies you get. The only row that you can change to adapt for the crit synergies you have is second. So normally you run this if you have no crit synergies in your party. If you play Kinsense 2, Zealous 2, and you also run Mastery Elixir, you'll have 91% crit. That's what you kind of want to aim for. You want to be
Right.
around 90% crit because your burst cost, and if you don't crit, you just don't do any damage at
Any
all.
damage, right?
Yeah. If you had a crit synergy, also this is assuming legendary adrenaline because I don't think that many people have relic adrenaline.
Right.
Yeah. If you had a crit synergy, you just drop 1 point in Kinsense and put it in
For
Limit
more
Break.
damage.
Yeah, you just get more EVA damage. You can drop 2 and put full in Limit Break, but
Right.
I personally like trading every single time you burst because I just value consistency over ceiling.
Right.
So I keep 1 point in Kinsense. If
A
you
lot,
get 2 crit synergies, yeah.
a lot of classes on that line right there, they actually always alternate it depending on the crit synergy. I'm glad that
Yeah.
they had that.
If you get 2 crit synergies, it happens pretty rarely, but
Yeah.
if you do, so you drop all points from Kinsense, put them in Limit Break, and if you have both elixirs, you swap to critical elixir. So normally you run Master, but you have 2 crit synergies, you should swap to critical if you have it. If you don't, then I mean it's fine. You
Just stick
just
to
drop all the points. Yeah,
right.
just put all in Limit Break. Uh, that's it, yeah. Then you never change row 3 and row 4. There is an option of playing Blunt Spike with double crit synergy, but you also need Relic Adrenaline for it, so I'm not going to really touch on that.
Oh, so that will be super optimal. Will be that like you have the chance to do it if you have.
Yeah, if you have double crit synergy and you have Relic Adrenaline, then yeah, you play something like that.
That's more for like whales, huh?
Yeah, it is pretty inconsistent because if the fight is really fast and you burst on it a few times, you can just low roll crits, but you can also obviously high roll crits and do the most damage you'll ever do.
Right.
But yeah, overall, just stick to Standing Striker because 80% for Breaker is not that good. 80% crit chance.
Even 90% of the time, you feel like 1%.
Yeah, sometimes it just doesn't crit multiple times in a row and you don't do any damage and it's not even your fault. That's it for the evolution tab. For the Enlightenment, so obviously take the first 3. You put 2 points in the last node. The last node gives you the new skill on your
Right.
Z that lets you exit the form early, which is pretty much why BK Breaker got much stronger with tier 4.
Right. Right.
Yes,
This is the
you
reason
can do a
why.
different, yeah, you can do a different rotation that pretty much lets you just burst way more often. And you put 1 point in each node. So this node gives you 30 shock and stamina energy. Oh, obviously they both give you some damage, but it's really small. The main this node is very important because I'll explain later why it enables the new rotation because you get 30 shock energy.
Just
And
good.
when you enter the form, you will have full shock to use your skills. Because as you know, you have the storm, your Celestial Barrage, and later on your T skill. they will use all your shock energy to do more damage, right? So like if I cast Eye of the Storm, it is all my shock energy.
Right.
The same thing for this, and his skill now only uses half of it. It'll be using more later when we get Braille bracelets. So this node is very important. If you for some reason cannot get both of them, you 100% take this node.
Good to know.
Yeah, the second node, it just gives you a little bit of damage, but it also gives you a shield when you land an auto attack in a stance, or like a sequence of auto attacks, or auto attack after yellow skill. Like, see, I have a shield.
Right.
This shield gives me paralysis immunity.
Wow.
Which it is important because
That's
you know
huge.
sometimes bosses do like patterns that can interrupt your skills that
Your
don't have
S.
immune, like this. Yeah, like yeah, your D skill or your W,
Right.
Q, they don't have fire immunity. And like for example, you know the fire in T1 Gate 3 that targets swords, or
Yeah.
I can't Gear Gate 1 also has a few patterns, and so it doesn't really matter if the boss is doing a pattern. You can just keep cycling and you will not get your skills cancelled.
That's huge.
So, yeah, it is pretty big.
That's huge. That's one of the biggest concern for me personally of the class. I love the class, but I hate that it doesn't have
annoying.
Yeah. Getting interrupted because now you have to wait to fill up the meter.
Yeah. And then for the leap 3, you don't really. This is the only option you have. You just run 5 at Hyper Awakening damage and 5 at T skill damage. There's no reason to run cooldown on T skill because your T skill gets cooldown reduction from your auto attacks, just like all of your other skills. So this node is pretty much useless. You'll not get any more T casts if you go it. With Brawl, we will get this tripod. So right now, T skill, it is pretty strong, but the problem is it has 15% less crit than your other shock skills. If you look at the tripods, the limit break tripod here and here, they both get
they got 50%. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but the T skill doesn't have it yet, and so if you're like at 90% crit, this one only has 75, and sometimes it doesn't crit multiple times in a row.
That's why it's why on my side. Fuck.
Yeah, and so with Belshazzar, we'll get the tripod that gives you 20% crit, so it'll have 5% higher than the other skills. And also, as I mentioned before, it'll use all the shock energy to do more damage. I think with level 2 of this node, T skill hits higher than Eye of the Storm already. With level 3, it does way more damage than Eye of the Storm.
What, the T skill?
So yeah, T skill does more damage than Eye of the Storm when you get this node. Yeah, it is very strong. That's kind of weird for Ark Passive. I don't think this.
Yeah, it's pretty simple compared to others that have like a lot of options,
yeah.
you know, like word answer and stuff like that.
Have that many options, yeah. I guess I should go over the tripods maybe real quick.
Yeah, and the skills, yeah.
So the skills, these are the skills you run. You don't ever change. You don't.
You never
like
change them. Yeah, I saw.
Yeah. This is always the skills you run. This is your counter and your synergy. This is all the meter gens. These 3 are your biggest meter gens. S is your S skill is the biggest meter gen.
You don't want to miss that one ever.
Yeah, if you miss this one, you delay your rotation by a lot. You never want to miss it.
I hate missing that, bro. I go to the corner after that.
Yeah, and it's your W and E. The W gives more gauge, and it is non-par immune, but you can take a tripod that gives paralysis immunity, but it's going to be a bit slower. So like if you look at the skill, it's pretty fast. Right. If you swap to this, it is par immune, but it's a little bit slower. If you really hate getting cancelled, you notice that you get this skill cancelled a lot, you probably should swap to this tripod. But ideally, you do play the speed one. Another thing is, so on this skill, on Balkan's Advanced, people sometimes swap to the excellent mobility. So they drop the gauge tripod and go to get, just without it, it moves you not that far. With it, it's nice because BK doesn't really have any mobility at all.
Right.
But the problem with it is you pretty much add an extra skill in your gauge rotation cycle, which is not that good. So I would say I would not recommend it at all, to be honest, because
It will be based on preference.
I wouldn't even say it's based on preference, because it just slows down your pace a lot, because you need to cast an extra yellow skill to enter the form every time, and it will just result in less damage. I would say it's quite significant.
Okay.
Also, this skill is the skill that you use to recover when you have like you're missing a pixel of gauge, and this is the skill you use to recover.
Right.
And sometimes it might not be enough if you're running this tripod.
Mm.
If you're running this tripod, it might not give you enough, and you have to cast it again.
Yeah, that's not good.
It is a big time loss. Falling Star is another skill that has a few options, but so people go Axiom Ability again, the same thing, but you can't really do that anymore with tier 4 because you need this shock tripod to actually get enough shock in the cycle to cast your shock skills at full. Because like otherwise, if you run this, say you do the cycle, see, your shock is not full, so
Right.
you lose damage in this skill. With this tripod, you will always have full shock after casting 3 yellow skills. So the excellent ability is not an option. But you can run Tenacity on Falling Star if you're struggling, because PK Breaker doesn't really have mobility,
Right.
and you don't have like sometimes when you're out of form, you don't have any push immunity on demand except your spacebar.
Right.
Sometimes you use your spacebar to move to the boss. So if it does some dangerous pattern, like in T1 Gate 4, maybe you just fall off.
I was gonna
Like,
say that.
if it does
Yeah.
Oriana,
Yeah.
if it does Oriana, you can just fall off the stage. Which
Right.
So if you find yourself struggling with that, you can go for the push immunity tripod. But obviously the flame face does more damage.
I'm so happy you guys are covering this, because since I'm doing Gate 4 now, more
Yeah.
that actually helps a lot.
Yeah, for people that plug in Gate 4, I would 100% go for Tenacity.
Yeah.
It definitely will help you. But these two skills, the tripods are always the same. There's nothing special for them. The Eye of the Storm is another one that has an option. So you can play Challenger. It pretty much removes front attack from the skill and gives you 10% damage.
Right.
Or you can play Swift Fingers. It gives you attack speed, and the attack speed is like a secondary thing. The most important is you have a front attack on your Eye of the Storm. And front attack gives you 20% damage when you hit it. It's just... So if you want to play for the ceiling, and you actually don't mind front attacking your Eye of the Storm, you play this tripod and you will do more damage. These tripods equal out if you get at least like 50 to 55% front attack rate. So and honestly, it's really easy to reach it.
Yeah.
So unless like you progging Aegir Gate 2 or maybe T-Mine Gate 4, I would say this tripod will just always result in more damage. Even if you feel like you're not doing a great job front attacking, the extra attack speed will help. And as long as you're getting like 65% front attack, it's going to be good enough. Because in Atropine windows, when the boss is like usually AFK or just stuck or something, you will always get front attack. It's easy to get it, and it will be more important than just throwing a random Eye of the Storm, not in Atro window and not in the supported buff window.
In other words, just gotta get good and get better, to hit the front attacks. I have the habit of doing the front attacks, but since I don't think I run it, but
yeah, if you don't mind front attacking, you should be running Swift Fingers. If you actually just like you came from Ashura, and the reason why you didn't like Ashura is because you don't want a front attack,
right?
And you actually don't want to play it. I mean, Challenger is totally fine.
Yeah,
you just play Challenger. And the other tripods are always the same. It's Sweet Spot and Limit Break. For the gems, so yes, it's easier to show like that. So you run 4 damage gems and 7 cooldowns. Your 2 biggest damage gems, obviously your Z, it's bulking 12 forms, and your Eye of the Storm. The other two are Cecil Barrage and Falling Star. They're smaller. Falling Star is like around 5% of your damage. Cecil Barrage is around 10% of your damage. And these two are like around 35. So if you're getting like, I assume someone who is like around 1680 will have probably like, at least full level 7s, tier 4, maybe a few 8s. So if you're thinking about getting higher gems, you should obviously prioritize Z and Eye of the Storm for damage. For cooldowns, I would say at level 7 cooldown gems, it will be comfortable to play the class. The only skill that I would recommend getting a higher gem, you can see I have a level 10 cooldown
Right.
on Eye of the Storm, is because a lot of like this is your hardest hitting skill, like
Right.
second hardest hitting after Z, and you'll see later in the rotation you're kind of gated by the cooldown of the skill. That's why you want to have as high as possible. So like, I would say at least level. I mean, it depends on your gem investment. Yeah, at least level 8, tier 4
Yeah.
would be great. And the second important gem is Ion Gilstorm. It's not as important as Eye of the Storm, but
Just in
because
case you miss it.
no, it's not because you miss it, but because you cycle faster on Breaker now in tier 4, so you're actually gate capped by the cooldown of this skill, because like you need to cast it every time you want to get in form, and so you come out earlier, so you need this skill to be up. So I would say at least level 7 tier 4, ideally level 8.
Those two at least.
Yeah, those two. The other ones, it says Force Barrage, Crater Strike, and 100 Face are not really important. You can maybe keep them even at level 6. Adamantine Assault and Brow King's Advance are decently important, but if you get like level 7 or even level 6, if you don't want to spend too much gold and it's your ult, it's fine. The most important ones are these two.
That's good to know. I think I have those.
For the engravings, so you can see I'm running Stabilize status. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone unless you're really comfortable with the breaker. So this is your normal engravings. It's Adrenaline, Crystal, Grudge, Kin Blunt, and Supercharge. Some people run Hitmaster. I would just don't run it. It's not good. Like you technically can if you really hate Crystal, because I actually heard some people say that they just dislike playing with the healing debuff.
Right.
And I mean, if you don't want to run Crystal, then yeah, I guess it is your only option to play Hitmaster.
Right.
But the reason why Crystal is better than Hitmaster is because, first of all, if you're playing frontal attack out of the storm, you cannot play Hitmaster.
Exactly.
If you're playing Challenger, all your yellow skills are still they have a front attack indicator that you cannot remove, so they will not get affected by Hitmaster. And it might seem not like a lot, but these 5 yellow skills plus your Awakening that also doesn't get affected by Hitmaster, and your bleed and poison wounds, they probably stack up to like 10 to 12% of your damage. So 10 to 12% of your damage is not affected by Hitmaster.
That's not good, yeah.
Yeah, so unless you really hate healing debuff, I would just recommend to go Curse Doll every single time. Like, do not play Hitmaster; it's not good. The reason why you saw me have Stabilist status is so I
over supercharge, right?
Yeah, over supercharge. So before tier 4, most of your damage was Eye of the Storm and Z skill this one, and both of them are charging skills. You look around 80% of your damage, so supercharge was your best option. And also, it gave you attack speed, charging speed, which does help to get your skills off. But in tier 4, you got T-skill, and T-skill is not charging, and that is the problem. So if you want to go for the ceiling, right now, Stabilize status is around 5% more damage than Supercharge. If you actually play it well and don't get knocked out of your skills because you don't have, you're too used to the Supercharge speed and you don't have it anymore, then yeah, Stabilize status is around 4 to 5% more damage. But I wouldn't recommend it to anyone unless you're really
experienced, right?
Yeah, because you can see the difference. Look at my Z charging speed like that.
Oh, it's a little slow, yeah.
It is slow, and like look at supercharge. It's way faster.
Yeah.
I didn't charge it till the end, but yeah, it is noticeably faster.
Yeah, super.
So if you feel really comfortable at Breaker and you don't mind losing some speed to get a bit more damage, then you can try out Stabilize status. But if you aren't that comfortable with the class, just play Supercharge. You will do more damage with Supercharge.
That damage is crazy.
Also, well, Stabilize status will also be better, even better than this now with T skill with the Braille braces, because your T skill will do more damage and have more crit.
Oh, okay,
But
yeah.
Supercharge will always be a good option, because obviously not everyone is ready to give up comfort for a little bit more damage. So if you don't have to ever run stabilized status if you don't want. You can just keep running Supercharge. It's fine. I just thought I should mention it because obviously
Definitely, yeah.
people.
I mean, it's good to start using those things for like starting now if people want to min max, because that way they get used to, you know.
Yeah. Also, stabilized status and curse doll is kind of a tricky combo, because you have to stay above 65% health and
Right.
you have a healing debuff. So pretty much when I play with stabilized status and like A-Gear Gate 2, I just bring red pots, because not because I'm scared to die, but because if I want to have the engraving active, like every time I use an Atro, I need to be full HP, or otherwise I will lose this buff. Because
Mm,
Atro reduces your HP by 25.
right.
So if you're not at 100%, if you're at below 90, which is still pretty high, you will just lose the buff. That's
Ah,
why you actually chug a lot of pots if you play first doll with stabilized status.
damn.
The good thing though is if you're buying relic books, stabilized status is pretty cheap. It's only like 400k for 20 books, like 500k compared to other engravings that are like a few million. You can save gold and do more damage if you're really good at breaker.
Eesh.
Um,
That's a little tricky right there, yeah.
yeah. I think we can go to the rotation, right? Probably the most important part.
What about the awakening and the hyper skill?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Well, hyperscale, the only option is the shock one. You cannot use the yellow one because if you read the description of yellow scale, you cannot use it in broking stance or sure state. Pretty much
Mm.
meaning that in form it will not go off. Like if you use it, it just doesn't do anything. And all your damage is in form, so yellow skill just doesn't work for DK at all. And you don't really need it to fill the meter, because like first of all, it's really long cooldown, so you cannot use it every cycle. And you don't need the extra meter because you can fill it comfortably with the skills you have. The awakening, so overall Celestial Door is better. Before we got hyper awakenings, there was a cycle that you could do with this awakening that was pretty good. But this awakening, like if you take this awakening, this particular hyper awakening is probably the weakest hyper awakening in the game, or one of the weakest. So it does very little damage compared to other hypers, and it is just not worth it anymore. So you should always just run Celestial Door and Nebula Crusher.
Go with it. Yeah, that's what I play.
Yeah. Also, I didn't mention the stone. So you can cut. So let's say if you're running Supercharge, you can cut any of these 4 engravings. Like let's say Adrenaline 2, Kinblunt 2, Adrenaline 2, Grizel 2, Grudge, any combination of these. Just not cut Supercharge, because if you look at the stone, it gives you it's 3%, 375, 525, and 6. Crystal, for example, gives the same amount of damage, but Supercharge gives it to only charging skills. Crystal give it to all skills. So
You
you
benefit from
just
all 8 skills instead
yeah
of
you
3s.
yeah you would be just losing damage if you cut Supercharged Stone.
Fine.
So ideally you would cut Curse Kin Blunt Adrenaline, but if you have a Grudge, it's a very small difference. I would not bother recutting. Grudge is also fine.
Yeah, Adrenaline is super expensive as well too, you know? Like 1K
Yeah,
a pop or something.
yeah, you can cut any of these 4. If you have a 9-6 of any of these 4, that's also totally fine. And the good thing for breakers now, I mean, just like for any classes, any 9-7 is good as well. Before if you had like Grudge 7, you couldn't really use it because Grudge 2 was a loss.
Imagine the people that throw them out, that throw them out because I don't want it no more. And now you can actually use them.
Yeah. Um.
Now the
So
most important, huh?
yeah, the most important rotation. Yeah, let me check if my tripods are correct because I was showing. Oh, need to change this one. So if you start with full gauge, if you use the stimulant, then you use 4 skills to stack adrenaline. It's Crazy Strike, Adamantine Assault, 100 Fists, and Pro King's Advance. And you also want to hit Brawl King's Advance on the boss to get the cooldown reduction. Because like if you cast it like that, see it's 6 seconds. Let's change the tripod. If you cast it like that, it's 6 seconds. If you cast it in the boss, it's gonna be 3 seconds. So it is pretty important to hit it in the boss when you're stuck in Triland. So your opener would look something like this. So the start is pretty much like that. You always use either Storm after you enter the form if you have it up, and you follow up by Z. And then, so you have either T skill. If you have T skill up, you should cast your T skill. If you don't have your T skill up, you would use Celestial Force Barrage. The problem is the breaker rotation is kind of long. I guess I'll just show it fully.
Right.
And then I can explain the parts of it. So you start Adrenaline, then the form, use either Storm, charge your Z, use 3 skills to get full shock gauge, and you order dug after you have the yellow skill. You exit the form.
Wow.
This is the third last cycle, and then it'll go back to the same first cycle we had.
Oh my god, you never stop. Ah, the hell. Nice.
And now we're back to the first cycle. So we start with the Storm, charge Z, use the yellow skills with auto attacks, and you cast this.
Oh
and
my
it's gonna repeat like
God.
that. So the rotation is pretty. It might look pretty hard.
It looks quite hard until you.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you master, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So let's first talk about the gear generation. So you always want to cast your Eon Gilstrom when you have max shock, because the more shock you have, the more gauge Eon will give you. So when you exit the form, you will have a little bit of shock left, and you want to cast 3 of these skills: it's Brawl King's Advance, Adamantine Assault, and Crater Strike. The order you cast them doesn't really matter. You can cast them in any order, but the optimal would be Adamantine Assault, Brawl King's Advance, and Crater Strike if you're close to the boss. So like if I'm right here, I would do something like this. And then I go Eon. But if let's say you're really far from the boss,
Right.
like you're far, just running to the boss would be a waste of time,
Right.
Because you can just use your Crater Strike to get to the boss, and then use this. It's totally fine. So the order doesn't matter. You just adjust on the go. For example, if you somehow don't have your Crater Strike up, it's like on a 3-second cooldown. You're far from the boss, you can just use your King's Advance. Just make sure to hit it on the boss. Then you use the Adamantine and Crater. So the order doesn't matter. Just you use depending on your situation. If you're close to the boss, use this. If you're far from the boss, use this or this. So after you use these 3 skills, so after you use these 3 skills, you cast Eon. You see it lights up because you have full shock.
Right.
And then you cast your 100 Fists. If you have purple Wall Throne, you can let it go at around 70% right there. You don't have to full hold it.
Interesting.
And you just cast normal Brawl King's Advance.
Yeah,
and
that's
you have full
safe.
shock, full gauge. If you do not have your Adamantine Assault up for some reason, you can exchange them with the 100 Fists. So you just put you just do 100 Fists first and Adamantine at the end. It doesn't really matter if you do something like this. It's the same thing. It's just you use this skill before this. The reason you use Adamantine first is because it gives more gauge, and if you miss something and you have to recover, the skill will come off earlier. But overall, it doesn't matter. For example, if you think this can get cancelled, and this doesn't have paralysis immunity, right? But this does, so you can just use 100 Fists instead. That's pretty much it. That's the gauge rotation. You do it every time. So you want to cast 3 yellow skills, either Crater, Adamantine, and Broken's Advance, or Broken's, or like right phase, Broken's Advance, and Crater in any order. Then use Eon, and use the skill you didn't cast plus Broken's Advance. You don't want to ever use Falling Star out of form.
I was gonna ask you that.
Yeah, it does good damage inside of form. Like it hits for me for like 200 million maybe with the support buffs, 250 mil. So it does have a bit lower crit, but it still does good damage.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you absolutely have to, like, you know, sometimes you're a pixel off.
Right.
You understand that you don't have any skills coming up, and the boss will leave soon. But yeah, you should obviously press Falling Star,
Right.
get full gauge, and like get your burst out before the boss will leave.
Correct.
Because like if it was a ghost leaves out of that, then yeah, it's a good decision. But if your Broken's Advance is coming off cooldown in like 1 second, then you should not use Falling Star.
And I was kind of using it for like filling my meter.
Yeah,
That's good to know.
So
wow.
the reason is probably a lot of people that run this tripod, you have to use Falling Star out of form to fill the meter.
Right.
That's why I don't like this tripod, because you're just losing damage by doing that.
Gold.
Also, if you miss any skills, so let's say I missed a part of my Eon, so I landed this, and I got to cast only like this. I didn't land full Eon, and I would just follow up with this, and you can use your Celestial Force Barrage to recover.
Yes, right.
It's not ideal, but obviously if you missed half of Eon or more, then waiting for Eon is definitely damage loss. So you would use Celestial Force Barrage instead.
Yeah, I've been in that situation. I'm glad you covered it, because I've been in that situation before when I use the Celestial Force.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it happens to everyone. Sometimes you just have to use it to fill your meter.
Yeah. It's not ideal, but it's better to use it now to continue the rotation, because otherwise you're gonna be looking around. What the hell?
So for the burst, so as I said, you stack adrenaline. Well, if you're gonna be just cycling permanently, then obviously you'll have adrenaline stacked. But if you're opening, then you just use these 4 skills to get adrenaline. And if you have your Ivy Storm up, you always start with Ivy Storm, because it uses all your shock. You charge Z. If you have your T up, you will use your T. If you don't have T up, you use Celestial Force Barrage. Then after using your last shock skill, you wanna most of the time use one more Broker's Advance and Auto Attack to reduce the cooldown, because the cooldown reduction depends on how high the current cooldown of the skill is. So like if you like just cast out this arm, look, I will land Auto Attack, it reduced by 2 seconds. But if it's gonna be at like 10-second cooldown, it's gonna reduce by like half a second. It's not gonna be that much. So like, see there, it was barely 1 second. So if you just casted your Eye of the Storm or just casted your T skill, you want to land one Auto Attack with Vulcan's Advance, because it has very high value. But obviously the cycle I showed, it is a Trixian cycle, and most of the time in real fight it will not align that well. So this is an idea of priority of skills on Breaker. So you just have these 3 skills: Eye of the Storm, Nebula Crusher, and Celestial Force Barrage. When you enter the form, you obviously look at them, and like if all of them are up, you will use Eye of the Storm and T in that cycle. You will not touch the Celestial Barrage at all. So you would do this. Oh, I forgot to charge these, but yeah, and you would exit the form. If I say my Eye of the Storm is not up, but I have my gauge, right? I got full gauge. I will enter the form. I will use T, charge Z. Has 3 yellow skills to get full shock. I will use this. Now exit. So like you are not waiting for Eye of the Storm anymore ever. You're not waiting for your skills to come up, because
that's huge. What the?
Cycling faster is way more important than landing, one more shock skill in form. Because like if this is on a 7-second cooldown, it's almost the same time as you need to fill in your gauge and enter the form again and cast the skill. Like this takes around like I think 5 seconds, and you enter the form, you cast out the storm again. Otherwise you'll be sitting in form waiting for it and then exiting when you could already rebuild your gauge.
Yeah, that is Paris right now for me.
Yes. So generally, you cast 2 shock skills per form, and your Z as well. So if you have everything up, it would be Eye of the Storm and T. If you don't have your T up, it would be Eye of the Storm and this. If let's say your Eye of the Storm is on a 7-second cooldown, then you don't wait for it to come up when you have Gauge. You would enter the form, cast this. Imagine Eye of the Storm is on cooldown.
Right.
And then Eye of the Storm by that time will probably come cooldown. You cast Eye of the Storm, walking the advanced auto attack, and you exit. So you don't wait for skills to come off cooldown ever.
Okay.
So let's say you don't have any shock skills at all. Like you had a burst window, you casted every single skill before, but you have your Gauge. So
just to send it?
you would enter the form, you would use Z. Also, another thing that a lot of people do not know is you don't always have to charge your Z skill on Breaker. The only thing that charging does is it gives you shock energy. So right now, if I have full shock, like charging it like that is a waste of time because you do the same damage as if you would tap it. Like, let me suck adrenaline. Look, I'm tapping it. I'm not holding it.
Damn.
250, 380.
What the hell? I didn't even know that. I thought I had.
It's still the same numbers.
A lot of people don't know that. I didn't even know it myself.
Yeah. So if you have full shock for some reason because you didn't have any of these skills, you don't have to hold it. You just
send it.
Yeah, it's the same mode. It's the same damage. The same thing with the second Z. If you have full shock, you can just tap it, and it will do the same damage as holding it.
Jeez, I did not know that shit.
Yeah, your Atropine rotation is ideally you want to Atropine when you have your T skill and your Eye of the Storm up, obviously, because these are your 2 heavy hitters.
Right.
So your Atropine rotation would just look something like that. Okay. And after that, you right away press your Awakening. It'll also end in Atro. And then you do 1 Hawking's Advance, auto attack, and exit. If you crit everything, I mean, at my level, I think I'm doing around 7.5 to 8 billion burst with a decently geared support. But I mean, obviously, my breaker is pretty geared.
Right. It's 1688 for the whoever asked, guys. I'm gonna ask him the questions after.
Yeah, you probably have one of the highest bursts in the game with your Awakening. Assuming you crit everything,
right?
The only class that probably has stronger burst than you is Full Moon Solitaire with their T skill. It's really strong, but you obviously can rebuild form way faster.
This class it was this class was a problem before, and they made it even more of a buster now.
Yeah, before people didn't really know, but Breaker was like BK Breaker was really strong in tier 3 as well.
It was.
It probably was one of the
strongest.
Was like probably one of the strongest classes. Yeah, but in tier 4, it got a lot of QL changes. I feel like the person that designed Breaker actually knew what they were doing because they fixed all of the problems. Yeah, they let you exit farm early. They fixed your crit rate problem. They gave you the paralysis immunity shield. Like they gave this node that perfectly aligns with the new cycle. It's just
they made it perfect.
All of the problems Breaker had, yeah. They fixed all of the problems, yeah.
It's just a perfect. What the hell? Somebody was asking. That was it with the rotation, right? Somebody was asking about the Adrenaline Stone. If you want to add something, you can add something, yeah. And then we'll go with the questions. Some people have questions in regard to the.
Yeah, I can answer them.
So what I wanted to know why Adrenaline Stone, because a lot of people mentioned that Adrenaline Stone, why over this, over that, and when it's kind of like similar, but I'm pretty sure it's because of the min-maxing situation, right?
Yeah, the Adrenaline Stone, so the best stone for Breaker probably would be Adrenaline Keen Blunt, but the difference between Adrenaline and Cursed Doll is very, very small.
Yeah,
it also depends on how long the fight is, because Adrenaline gives you attack power, the stone, and if the fight is really short or like bursty and your atropine windows matter a lot, so like if you have around 30 to 40% auto efficiency on your damage overall, then Adrenaline will be worse than Cursed Doll because Cursed Doll gives just flat damage. It's multiplicative. But if it's a really long fight, let's say we're gonna be progging Belshazzar, and it's like a 15-minute fight, obviously your atropine will not be that big part of your damage. So in that case, adrenaline would be a bit better, but it is a really, really small difference. In the clear content, Kin Blunt Crystal is the absolute best stone. In longer prog content, adrenaline Kin Blunt is the best one. But the difference is absolutely minimal. So like if you have a 7-7 or 9-6 and 7, obviously do not regard it. It's very small.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, this is going to be for a guy on YouTube, guys. His idol level is 16. No grush. Cross. What grush? Like level 9 grush or what?
I think they mean Grudge and Stone. Grudge and Stone is fine, but it's a little bit worse because so the amount of damage you get from stones is the same on Grudge and Crystal. It's 6%, like the levels, but Grudge has a higher base, and that's why relatively it'll be a little bit less damage. It's really small, but if you look at Relic Grudge is 21% damage, and Relic Crystal is 17% damage. So obviously getting more damage on Cursed Doll is a bit more efficient than Grudge. But it's really small.
Go it. Well, anybody have any other question? You have anything to add, or I'm pretty sure you cover everything, huh?
Yeah,
question.
I don't think
how many points are to open the AP?
If you're 1680, you can open with one piece. The only problem is your crit will only be 79 to 80%, like 80%, which is kind of low, but because the new cycle is so much stronger than the older cycle, you will do more damage if you're playing well. So if you're 1680, you can swap with one piece. If you're 1660, you should wait for two pieces because you'll be able to get Zealous level 2. With one piece, you can only have Zealous level 1 and Kinsense level 2.
And those are major,
so, yeah, this is your main nodes that give you crit rate.
Most of the classes lack of the same thing, huh? Most of the stats is always crit and crit. That's huge. Big W, that rotation is disgusting, guys, huh? Did he lose the Eye of the Storm cooldown when he used the R? Question mark. Awesome tanks.
Yeah. So your auto attacks reduce your cooldown. So when you go and farm, use your burst. After every yellow skill, you should be using an auto attack. So I'm just quite literally clicking my mouse to auto attack the boss because this is how your identity works. You can see that my cooldown is decreasing. You should be doing it every time after every yellow skill. It also works on your T-skill.
No way. Guys, everybody gonna love me after this, guys, huh? Yeah. A lot of learning, papi. Bro. This is disgusting. It never stops, bro. This is like the Death Blade. Cause I have that here, and Death Blade is the same shit.
Yeah, you don't have any cooldowns if you're playing the class properly. You always have buttons to press.
So what the fuck is this? What did I tell? Oh, Jesus Christ, guys. Yeah, that's insane, bro. All these classes became like too strong with tier 4, guys, huh? Like 1680 maxed out. Gee. Well, that was pretty much it, guys. I'm pretty sure he covered everything, and thank you, Hesi, for taking some time,
Yeah, no problem.
And helping us out, brother.
Thanks for having me.